In this introductory video, we're going to be talking about UX best practices. Best practices are generally defined as methods or techniques that are considered to be superior to other methods or techniques based on the results that they attempt to produce compared to the other ones. When we talk about UX best practice, there are a number of different things that we can talk about. We can talk about principles for example, onboarding or error handling or for design consistency. Maybe we talk about design patterns for UI design, for persuasive design patterns. Or we might talk about layouts, forms, pages, modules, or button positionings. Flows is another thing we might talk about, from checkout flows to sign-up flows and forgotten password flows, to copy as well, CTA naming, how paragraph lengths and kind of tone of voice in general. And there's methods like card sorting, questionnaires, how to create UX deliverables and prototyping. So there's lots of different types of UX best practices that we can talk about. The value of applying best practices to your project is that it provides a framework for a repeatable process. This means that we have something that we can refer to. It offers a reference point and we can see how other people go about doing something and take inspiration from that and learn from that rather than necessarily having to go through and reinvent the wheel every single time. It also helps to save time by applying what's already tried and tested. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do any, for example, actual testing because of that, but it does mean that it gives us some kind of reassurance that it is the right kind of approach. And then for the user's point of view and customers, it creates familiarity. They are kind of used to seeing things in a certain way, used to things behaving and flows, etc., being in a certain way. So it creates familiarity and kind of avoids them having to relearn a lot of new things when they use your product or service. There are a couple of dangers though when it comes to best practices. The first one is that it can become a substitute for doing the actual work. You might just think that it's fine to just refer to best practices, but it isn't. The second point is that sometimes things like trends become kind of seen as being best practices. The hamburger menu is one of those. So make sure you always kind of assess and evaluate whether what is considered best practice actually is best practice. So an example of best practices is the BBC. And then a number of things that BBC are very famous for when it comes to kind of best practices. One thing that people tend to refer to them for is kind of navigation, how they handle the global navigation. So how they handle home, news, sport, weather, iPlayer, etc., and then the subsites underneath that. Another thing they're very famous for in terms of signposting and kind of content types and kind of duration of things and when things were last kind of updated. And then of course the accessibility, making sure that BBC can be kind of viewed and read by anyone out in the UK. Another very famous example is Amazon's checkout flow. There are a number of things that Amazon are very good at when it comes to best practices. They've done serious amounts of kind of testing on that obviously as well. They offer save for later abilities for the user. They provide easy access to kind of previously bought items, allow you to save your payment details, provide one-click checkout. And then options to save and add and change delivery and kind of billing addresses. So those are some of the things that Amazon are very good at and kind of consider best practice for kind of checkout flows. What I'd like you to do for this exercise is to come up with 3 examples of your own, 3 websites or apps that you consider follow best practices, and then kind of come up with reasons why they are best practices. So who do you consider having or kind of having best practice websites or apps, or doing something on their website or app that are best practice, and why do you consider this to be best practice? There's a couple of additional kind of reading links for best practices as well. We'll be talking more about best practices in the first lesson of US for Marketers.